Hello and welcome again back to the Coaches Lounge with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley, as your host. This show, I'm telling you, I get excited every time I come on because I get a chance to interview some amazing coaches and educators and mentors in this world. Now, I wanted to make sure, and I even told my my guest that's coming on, I want to make sure I spotlight them because I don't see that a lot when it comes to coaches. And think about it, coaches come into your world for how many months, how many years, decades, and they're in your life. Like they're your partner in crime almost, to make sure that they're always encouraging you, always giving you, information, always giving you action items, just anything that they have to do with whatever they're coaching you for. And a lot of times we try to stay, behind the spotlight because we want to keep pushing you, right? So now I get a chance to turn the tables and push the coaches out there because it's much needed. First of all, you get to know who's helping who's lifting that needle in their life. Second of all, you get to understand different coaches and make sure maybe, just maybe, this particular coach you might want to work with. See, there's so many that a lot of times when you get caught, you don't get time to really get a chance to get to know them or get to know their personality or even get to know how many years they've been doing it or who they help or who they're looking for. So this is the type of place, this is the type of show that you get to meet these wonderful coaches. Now, this wonderful man, I'm telling you, I was just telling him he's a celebrity. He's like, I don't know about that. I said, yes, you are, because you helped and you've been in decades of what you're doing. So yes, you are a celebrity, Keith Greer. So with that, now he told me, and I'll tell everybody before they come on, what would you title this show if you were to title it? He put using neuroscience to create trusting, safe, and inclusion relationships, one conversation at a time. I like that because that's how you create relationships, one at a time. Sometimes people are like, well, I'm on stage. Well, yeah, one, you're showing you to many, right? But you're talking to each person, each individual. And I like how he put that. So with that, Keith, oh my God, he's leveraged over 4 decades of experience as an executive coach, family therapist, and trained towards his compassion, creative, and influence work with individuals, families, and organizations. Passionate about the practice. I can tell already when I talk to him, he is very passionate about what he does. And that's important. About the practice, art, science, and utilizes of neuroscience-based conversational strategies that result in deep and authentic human connection. I love it. And this is the time and age to really talk about that more because I'm seeing a lot of people, and I'm kind of going to ask Keith about this too, that they're creating more of a conversation with their AI partner more so than a human person. And I'm like, oh, now I'm not against AI, but when it comes to the point where we as humans, we can't talk together, we do need Keith. So with that said, we're going to bring this wonderful, wonderful coach on, and he's going to talk more about what he does. And, I always tell people, get a paper and pen to write notes, because like I said, you never know if you need him or somebody that might need Keith as a coach. So please get ready for our conversation with him. hello, hello. If you're just chiming in, this is the Coaches Lounge with yours truly, Barbara J. Beckley, with a wonderful, amazing, we're spotlighting those experts, those coaches, those mentors that come into your life and make you advance even more. So we have Mr. Keith here. Thank you, Keith. First of all, before we get into anything, because it's all about you, I told him to be selfish, everybody. So he's going to be
Thank you,
selfish.
Barbara.
Thank you so much, Keith, for coming.
Sure.
So whew, there is a lot to unwrap with you, sir, because you have done so much and you have created so much in so many decades. But see, this is what I like when I interview too, is pulling back and saying, okay, how did Keith get to this empire? I mean, it took something changed in his life, or, you know how things go in people's lives. So what happened to you, sir?
All right. So I have been doing this work. I like to say I've been in the helping world, in the helping professions for, as you said, 40 plus years. Blessed career. I've worked with amazing people, amazing clients. Started actually in the world of addiction. That was my first gig out of school, was working in the world of substance use disorder treatment and recovery. And so this is, again, going back 40 plus years. The first place I ever worked, the standard of their practice was, I get shivers about it today. It was an accepted practice then, but as I look back on it, it was pretty horrible. We were taught, some of the thinking of that time in the world of addiction was, if you shame people, they'll get motivated to find recovery. If you point out the negative, they'll get motivated to find recovery. And that's what I did, because that's what I was taught. I remember, Barbara, even then, and this is in my early 20s, on some level thinking, this feels not right. Like, this is not how I should be interacting with people. And the other kind of vibe in the treatment world at that time was that me, as the counselor, I'm all knowing. So you, person coming with a history of substance use disorder, you just need to listen to me. And I remember even thinking that, like, who am I to tell somebody I know what's best for your life? I did it because that's how I was trained in those days. But shortly after that, I was exposed to family therapy, to family systems therapy. And I became absolutely enamored with it. And I realize now, looking back, part of that was that it was a move towards a certain practice where in family systems therapy, you're not the expert on the family. You're the expert on how to facilitate family systems therapy. That started to feel much better. That started to feel much more in alignment with what felt real to me and authentic, and what my value system was. And I loved it and went off and started a family therapy practice. Oh, so I did that for maybe 20-ish years. So now, 15 to 20 years ago, I start reading about coaching. And as I'm reading about coaching, I'm reading about a practice that, even more than family therapy in some ways, is built upon the belief that the coach does not have answers for their clients. Clients have their answers. As a coach, I ask good questions. I listen deeply. I help create awareness. I highlight strength. But I am not the expert on another person. And I just, even more so, I loved what I was reading, said, this is the direction I have to go in. And from that point forward, have not looked back. And I always kid that I'm going to get this tattooed somewhere on my body someday. There's this saying that I heard years and years and years ago, that when a coach and their client walk in the room, the answer is already in the room, and guess who doesn't have it? The coach. The answer's in the room, the client has their answer. And what I have found, Barbara, I'm sure you have in your coaching practice, is that even when clients walk in saying, Keith, I don't know what to do, they do. They've maybe learned not to listen to their own intuition. Their self-critic is too loud. But if I listen, if I ask good questions, if I hold a safe and trusting space, people find what they're looking for, and it's not some magical, suggestion from me. And I am one of those lucky ones. 40 plus years into my career, I am more excited about my career, more passionate, get more joy out of it. Can't even imagine thinking about like retirement or something. And
I know that's kind of like
I turned 67, but I'm like,
what?
This is just the coolest gig in the world, and I'm honored. These human beings, sit in front of me and partner with me in moving their lives forward. It just doesn't get any better than that.
I know. See, and I just hear all the excitement and how you've grown from the beginning to now, and see, the coach part was for you. Because you're right, Keith. It's just they always have the answer somewhere. It's just the non-belief, or people putting things in their head, or they're putting their own in their head, or it's just, or seeing things. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. And once they get it, I know you could probably feel the same feeling. Once they get it, you can see it. It's like they got it. You're in your mind. You're like, they finally understand this. Yes.
Yeah. Look, one of the aspects I've always believed about doing this work is if the work is going well, we're moving towards them firing me. They don't need me anymore, right? That's the goal here, is to get fired from doing this work, because people find what they're looking for. They move their life forward. It brings greater satisfaction, fulfillment, and meaning into their life. And then, all right, we're good. You know where I'm at if you want to find me somewhere down the road, but you don't need me in your life every week for the next 5 years. That's not realistic to me.
Yeah. So I want to, when you said if I'm staying with you, then you should be firing me a little while, because now you got you really got it right. So what do you say, Keith, to all the people that have coaches for like 10 years and they haven't got fired yet?
I don't judge, and people have different needs, and I have a client who I've worked with, for 5-6 years, but the majority of folks I work with, I can only go on what's in my practice. The majority of folks I have worked with as a coach, we set a goal, we march off towards that goal, creating action steps, creating awareness. And most of the people I work with get to a place where, all right, I'm in a better spot. And I joke with my clients and I say, look, once you become my client, you're my client forever. But forever doesn't mean we meet weekly forever. It means, and I've had this happen, which is really cool. I work with somebody, we say, oh, they're at a better place. And we march off into our lives. I don't know, a couple of years later, phone rings. Keith, listen, something's come up. Can we just touch base, kind of do a pit stop, check in again? I'm good with that. For the most part, I don't, it just doesn't, for me, it's not a conversation that, maybe for that long-term client, because I think of this with my long-term client. My long-term client started meeting every week. Now it's like, it's every month, it's every 2 months, right? So we maintain contact, but it's not the frequency that it was when we first started our relationship.
Yeah. And, I wanted to say that because also, it takes us as coaches to come in, like you said, to give the golden nuggets, if you call it, to give the action items, stuff like that. But I always tell my clients all the time, I said, I will sit there and be with you 150% because I believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't believe in yourself, then anything that I say or kind of give you advice or whatever, and you don't kind of move towards that, we'll be sitting here for a while together because it has to go both ways, right?
Yes. Someone once asked me a long time ago, what would be like my best description of coaching? And there's obviously a lot of different ways you can describe this. This is a little silly, but this popped into my head and I still share it sometimes, like right now. And sometimes say, if I got a phone call from somebody who said to me, Keith, I heard you're a really good coach. I want to hire you because I have set a goal of building a set of wings and flying to the moon. That my job as a coach is not to say, dude, what are you talking about? Like, that's kind of wacky. My job is to say, oh my God, that sounds awesome. Let's get moving. Because here's what's going to happen. Either that person's going to accomplish that, and they might do something no one's ever done before, build a set of wings and fly to the moon, or they will determine, oh, maybe I need to modify my goal. Maybe I need to move in a different direction. Maybe this goal was more a metaphor for something else I'm looking for. It is just never my place to say, no, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. No, right? You're crazy. It just, and I've been around long enough to have seen folks make some miraculous, monumental changes in their life. And
then that's what really comes to, that gets to your heart. And that's what makes you want to continue to help and be that coach for people. I know.
Yes.
You have the same feeling, but I want to make sure though, because we're having this, I've been knowing you for years. I love talking. Then I said, okay, I told you to be selfish. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm having a conversation. So let's go back to being selfish with you. So
okay.
Far as, because there's two things I know you wanted to kind of talk about, what is conversational intelligence and how it can guide and create or trusting. So let's get a little bit into that, because that, like I said earlier about the AI thing, it's real. So
yeah. Is it rather frightening? So conversational intelligence, or CIQ. CIQ is a modality that was created by a brilliant woman by the name of Judith Glazier, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And I had the privilege to spend about a year training with Judith. It's, 12, 13 years ago or so already. And what the modality of conversational intelligence is CIQ looks at the neurochemical underpinnings of how certain conversational strategies, patterns that we use in our interaction with other human beings lands in people's brains in a way that either causes other people to say, oh, I can trust Keith. I feel safe with him. I feel included. Or lands in people's brains in a way that causes their fight flight to kick in because they perceive me as threat. And some of the cool things about CIQ is, as I've said, it is built on the latest and greatest in the neuroscience world, like what actually is going on in our brain. It's built around the fact that conversation is how we facilitate every relationship we're in. It happens through conversation. And for me as a coach, what CIQ empowers me to do, and my clients, is that we can actually deconstruct their conversational patterns and look at the ways they interact with people that work, that create trust and safety, literally neurochemically create a sense of trust and safety, or don't work. And so a lot of my work these days is in the world of leadership. For everybody has a story of working for somebody who was not good at leadership. Every time I go online and I look at, what are the top 5 reasons why, people leave jobs, didn't feel valued and appreciated by my boss, is in there inevitably. What I can do with folks now is help them look at some of their historical ways of being, conversational ways of being that do not engender trust, do not cause people to say, I want to be on your team, do not leave people feeling, which Barbara, I think, at the end of the day, if there is one thing, everyone, I think as human beings, we look for this everywhere, but if we talk specifically the workplace, every single person in a workplace has a fundamental need to feel valued and appreciated.
Yes.
And not just valued and appreciated for their technical prowess, valued and appreciated because they're a human being, because they exist.
So true, Keith. That's a mic drop right there. I want to say something real quick because I want to continue on, because I want people to still hear everything you have. But you said about the value, it's interesting how we're having this conversation now. And just a few days ago at my job, my day job, that we were having a Zoom meeting, as you know, we're all doing nowadays.
Right, right.
And my manager and a few of us, you know, the members of the team, it's like 10 of us there. So every time we have these team meetings, I get nervous. No, I won't say nervous. I get in my mind like, okay, this is not going to go well, because I noticed there's a lot of people with wonderful big personalities, which we all have in our team.
Right.
But this time to discuss things and understand things, what's going on, or if you're having a problem with something, you need to listen to the person. And oh my God, Keith, I just opened my mouth and said a few sentences. Oh yeah, Barbara, and oh yeah, Barbara, I'm doing this, and this is going on with me. And then I mean, it was chaos almost in the Zoom room.
Yes.
And then it was so bad about it. My manager, my leader, was in tune with it all, because she started doing it too. So I was like, okay. And you know, first I was like, okay, Barbara, you're used to this, right? And I said, well, wait a minute, why am I getting used to this? Then I had asked another question: how did it make me feel not being here? Because I didn't feel like I was heard at all, Keith. In fact, they were putting words in my mouth, really.
Yeah. Look, you know, I believe that one of the greatest wastes of time in most workplaces is any kind of group meeting. Because group look, really good conversational strategy, really good listening is hard enough between two human beings. Now you have a bunch of people in the room, never mind the dynamic of it being on Zoom, which is even more challenging. Because, you know, I read an article a few years ago about one of the things that creates Zoom fatigue is that our brain, when we are interacting with another human being, our brain has a need to see the other human being's entire body, because we are always looking for the nonverbals. The brain is looking for that. And so when all you can see is from here up, our brains don't like this. But, you know, I use this example all the time. So imagine I'm the team leader and I invite my team into a room, a live room or on Zoom. And I get up in front of the room and I'm talking about some new initiative that's about to come down the pike. And I'm really excited about it. And there's going to be this great stuff for the team and everybody's going to benefit from it and have a role. And, you know, people around the table are feeling kind of excited. Yeah, Keith, sounds good. I don't know, meeting takes an hour, meeting ends. What meetings take place in the following days? The meeting after the meeting, or the water cooler conversations, where it's 2 or 3 people from my team, and the tenor of those conversations is not nearly as positive as it was in the big room, because those conversations say, you know, no one asked me. Boy, my plate is full. It would have been nice if Keith had, you know, asked what we felt about all of this. I didn't feel listened to. And so what do the water cooler conversations tell us? They tell us that in the big room, in that big conversation, we didn't spend enough time attending to what do we all need to feel trusting and safe and valued and appreciated, that would allow more candid, honest conversation. That doesn't happen. Everybody puts a face on and says, oh, Keith, this is great. And then in the days that follow, they have the smaller conversations. I would say, Barbara, then that means that first big conversation, that hour, waste of time. Nobody could speak their truth. Nobody could take a risk. Nobody could be vulnerable. And there are strategies that we can now use with teams to help them attend to the trust and safety needs that are in the room first, before we have any business-based conversation. And one of the things we definitely know, you hit it right on the head. Humans have a fundamental need to feel heard, feel listened to. It's one of the ways we denote value and appreciation. We listen to people. But listening is probably one of the most challenging skills for people to develop, because it means quieting your head. It means quieting that voice in my head that says, I'm right, you're wrong. I know, you don't. It means quieting any tendency when I walk in the room to, I have to get my point across before anybody else can talk. And so people do not feel heard.
Yes.
And we've all been in those meetings with that person, literally banging on a table. I'm right. I'm right. You need to listen to me. And I can tell you, on my list of strategies that suck the trust out of the room, that's at
Yes.
the top of the list. In fact, in the conversational intelligence world, we call it the addiction of being right.
Oh, yeah. That's a good title.
I have to be right.
To be right.
Yeah.
Wow. See, and I can see this is where what you're talking about with the CIQ, this really comes into effect because I know you help maximize with the leadership and stuff. So I feel like, Keith, if you now I'm hiring, I feel like I'm about to hire you to come into our program. I would love for you to come in and coach with them, and me too, because I learn as we all learn. But I would say it has to start with leadership. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Because if the leader's doing, I always tell people, if the leader's doing something, people usually follow what the leadership does, or they put
Yes.
out their persona of it, right?
Yeah.
So if the
Yeah.
leadership is doing all what, then everybody else is gonna come and say, well, she's doing, I can do it too. And then all of a
Right.
sudden you're like, okay, you're losing here. This is a losing battle. Yeah.
Look, it is the first thing I always think about in the workplace. I think there's still a bit of a narrative alive and well in the workplace that somehow the relationships in a workplace are somehow, I don't know, fundamentally different than the relationships in our personal lives. And I don't believe anything could be further from the truth. Relationships are relationships. Leadership, if you break it down, is nothing more than a relationship. It's a relationship between the leader and the people on their team.
Yes.
And so in the world of how we create trust and safety, or don't, it is the same in our personal life. It is the same in our professional life. Look, Barbara, all we have to do is look around. Let's take this out of the workplace for a minute. All we have to do is look around our society right now, and for evidence every single day of horrendous conversational strategies, of people yelling at each other, not listening to each other, not having any ability to disagree with each other without it becoming a personal attack.
Yes.
And I believe that's because we're all so busy. I need to convince you of my side. You need to convince me of your side, and it goes nowhere. So, what I find in my work, yes, a lot of my work kind of launches from the world of leadership, but I more and more and more in my work will have the people I work with somewhere along the line say to me, this stuff we're talking about, the CIQ stuff, it is so relevant to me in my marriage. It is so relevant to me with my children. It is so relevant to keeping peace around the Thanksgiving dinner table when there's different political perspectives around the table.
Yes.
So
it's ongoing. I mean, what you're
yes.
talking about, Keith, that's why I said this is so amazing. This is wonderful that you're doing. And even me, listening and seeing what you do is so important because, like you said, I like how you said, to guide you to understand the trust, safety conversations that you can have with others, that you can feel authentic and valued.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah. Right. So that word, I love that word for all of us to figure out what does authenticity look like and sound like coming out of me, how to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Right. Probably the human experience most people will do anything not to experience is a sense of being vulnerable. But here's what we know. So the neurochemical that CIQ really focuses on is some people call it a neurotransmitter, neuropeptide. It's called oxytocin. So it's that cuddle hormone, right? It's the hormone that we know after a woman gives birth. Oxytocin is coursing through their body. It's what allows them to bond with their newborn baby so quickly. What I ask people to do is think about the last time you were in a phenomenal conversation with someone. It was just great and you felt safe and comfortable and we could share with each other. As creepy as this sounds, if I could come up right at that moment and take some of your blood, we'd find a whole bunch of oxytocin coursing through your system. In the world of leadership, one of the things we know is that when a leader, and I would even hazard a guess, especially because forever leaders look like me, older white guy, right? That when a leader demonstrates vulnerability in front of their team, I don't know, I messed up. What do you think?
Yeah.
That in real time, that act of vulnerability actually increases the production of oxytocin in the brain of the people who witness that moment of vulnerability. Vulnerability in the leadership world and in the male world has historically been viewed as weakness, and it is the exact opposite. It is one of the greatest connection strategies if people can be courageous enough to utilize it.
Utilize it, yes. I'm glad you said that, Keith, because especially when he talks to the males too, my wonderful male friends. I always tell them, I said, you can cry, you can say when you scream and holler. You need to do that. You need to get that out, because it's all here now, right? You need to, and they always tell me, well, women are more easy at doing that. They have women groups. They got, they go through the whole thing. And I was like, see, you're moving from what you need to do. So I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of men need to hear that part of it, like you said.
Yeah. It works. People's brains perceive as authentic and real and genuine, and causes people to say, I like being led by you.
And that's a really powerful thing, when you can have people trust and feel safe with you. And that's one thing that I always work on myself, Keith, because that's one of the reasons why I like doing because I have other shows under my network, because I have a big network and I have different shows and help with other people's shows. But this is my brand show for me that I love to do for the coaches, because it gives me a chance to practice on the things that you said, on listening, just not listening, say, okay, I got something else to say, Keith. Wait a minute, before you say something, okay, that's not giving Keith his love right now if I do that.
Right.
So I'm sitting back, I'm listening, I'm taking it in, I'm really digesting it. And that's why I love doing these interviews, because that gives me practice to really, feel it, think what they're saying, understand what they're saying, give them value for it. So yes. Yeah.
It's, if people would just slow down. I'm going to go back to what you said. Listen, stop and listen. But there's different ways we listen. Like, all right. So one of the things I talk a lot about in my work is the practice of curiosity, to bring curiosity into the room. Mm-hmm. So if I'm having a conversation with you and you're sharing something, for me to truly bring curiosity, again, I need to quiet my head. I need to quiet any urge to try and convince you of my side. We have all been in conversations with people who ask us questions. So on the surface, it sounds like they're interested in what we have to say, but we very quickly feel like their questions are still trying to push us towards their perspective. Versus in the CIQ world, we talk about asking questions for which you have no answer. So if I'm having a conversation and you're sharing something with me, Barbara, about you or about your perspective, if I am truly, another CIQ concept, open to being influenced, like I'm going to allow myself to possibly change my perspective, or as you've said a couple of times, learn something new, then as you're talking, I want to ask questions that I don't have answers to. Tell me more, Barbara. Because I really want, and if I'm doing that, I'm learning, you will perceive it. Your brain will say, I like this dude. He's listening. He seems to truly, authentically be interested in what I have to say. And we'll learn from each other on some level, and respect each other and honor each other. And here's the thing, and this goes back to what's going on in our larger society and the difficulty we're experiencing having conversations there. Doing all of this does not mean that at the end of our conversation, I say, oh, this perspective you have, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm jettisoning my old perspective and I'm going with you. We still might walk away from the conversation and say, we're going to agree to disagree.
Disagree, yeah.
But we can do it in a way where we feel heard and listened to, and not attacked for our perspective, which is different than mine. And I believe it. I believe we can do it. I see people do it. I work with people every day that are interested in doing it. So
I believe, Keith. I believe that it could happen. And the word it's interesting what you said about agree to disagree. Yeah. I use it a lot. I use that a lot. Some people even
Yeah.
fight me on that. I'm like, really? We're gonna fight on agree to disagree? We're really doing this right now? So
Right.
again, like you said, and I'm learning from you so much. They want to be heard some more. That's what in my mind when
That's
I
it.
hear that, I say, okay, they want to be heard some more.
Right.
And they're really trying to fight this and make me agree with them on this
Right.
subject.
Right. 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 And
So
I hope again in my interaction with others, if I can model this, if I can be the person who listens deeply, and I listen to you as you're sharing your ideas, your perspectives, I want to have faith that if I do it, you'll reciprocate. Now, maybe you won't, maybe you won't, but even if you don't, I have found myself, I find myself thinking all the time, Barbara, as we are going through this, I think, pretty challenging time as a society in how we talk at each other and judge each other. I find myself thinking all the time, all right, Keith, how can you be in the world how you would love the world to be? Now, no guarantee that the other people will reciprocate, but I only have control over me. And so can I listen well and deeply and respectfully and be curious with people and be open to being influenced? And I find that if I do that, I do get it back. Not all the time,
but
yeah. But that's the only part I have control over is to be the person in the world that I want to be.
And that's where it all comes down to, Keith. I mean, at least you're starting. I'm going to even say it right now. You're starting a movement in yourself. Well, maybe somebody else will catch on. They can stay moving, and we all just keep moving on with that, right?
Yeah.
So you got yourself, you got me, because I'm feeling the same thing you're saying. So there's two, right? So we can.
That's it. Got to start somewhere.
We got to start somewhere, and we start with ourselves. Oh my God, Keith, this has been wow. I could talk to you for a long time. You are amazing.
I feel the same. This has been beautiful conversation.
Yes, but I want to at least give you some love to the audience, at least 30 seconds, and then we'll come back and I'll let them know how they can contact you.
Yeah. Look, I think what I would love to say to any of you out there, listening to this is there is a better way. There is a more productive way. There is a science-based way to truly, authentically, genuinely connect with other people. And if you are struggling with this in the work world, if maybe you're a leader, and I know that many people are thrust into leadership positions and are not supported or get the training they would like to have. Or as I said earlier, man, you have some people in your family that view the world differently, and you don't want that to be the end of their relationship, your relationship with them. This is it's a wonderful modality. There's a phenomenal book by Judith Glaser called Conversational Intelligence. It is a real honest, productive way to come at connecting with other human beings. And what are we all looking for as we go through the world and through our lives? We're looking for connection, and too often, especially in today's world, it seems too many people are experiencing disconnection, and we can all play a role in making that different.
So well put, Keith. So well said. Yes. And that's why I told people have that pen and paper out at the beginning of this interview, because I knew there was going to be a lot of golden nuggets being dropped, a lot of wisdom, and really understanding who you are as a person. That's one of the reasons I do this too. So the next thing is and I'm going to put this out here again. You can reach Keith, that's his website.
Yeah. So listen, you can reach me at the website. There's a place on there where you can send me a message. My email is keith@keithgreercoaching.com. Feel free to email me. And what I would like to throw out to your audience, Barbara, is the first 5 people I hear from who say they heard me on your podcast. Here's my offer. You and I will schedule a time to meet for hour and a half, no cost. And if you want to explore this a little bit further of how to make use of it in your personal life, again, maybe there are family members that, man, you're just feeling disconnected from, or something specific to the workplace, someone you work with that you have difficulty connecting with, or you're in a leadership role and would love to learn a little bit more about this, reach out to me. First 5 folks who say, heard you on Barbara's podcast, we'll find some time to get together. I have a 15-hour leadership training program that just dives into all of these concepts, includes motivational interviewing, psychological safety, a little family systems in there. But I would love to. So what I'd love to throw out to people to think about is to just ask yourself, how many conversations do you find yourself in that don't make it for you, that don't create connection, that don't feel like win-win? How many people do you have in your life, whether it's in your personal life or professional life, where you just know, boy, we just don't seem to connect? This is a modality. This has very specific strategies and skills that can be used by anybody that will dramatically increase the chances that you will find connection, that people will perceive you as trusting and safe, and will empower you to ask for the same of, here's what I need from you, fellow human being, to have a sense of trust and safety from my side, because I really want to connect with you. It is, again, I mentioned earlier, it's been a transformational experience for me to do this work in this modality. And you don't have to be a neuroscience or a coach to really make good use out of it.
Amazing. Thank you, Keith, so much. And I'm going to put down here so people can reach you at your website. And I know you have some other things to offer. So
what I wanted to throw out, Barbara, is again, you can reach me at the website. There is a place on the website where you can leave me a message, or my email is keith@keithgreercoaching.com. You could message me there. What I would like to do is just throw out an offer to your audience. To the first 5 who contact me, I would be more than happy to schedule hour and a half with you, no cost, and to explore this further for you. Maybe it's more in your personal life, some folks you're close with, friends, family members, that, boy, conversation has been pretty difficult over these last few years. Or maybe it is something in the workplace, a colleague, or you're in a leadership role and aren't getting a whole lot of support in doing that. Make some contact with me. First 5, let me know that you heard this on Barbara's podcast, and we will find a time to get together.
Well, I hate to say it might be the first 4, because I'm probably gonna be the first one. I might have to take one of them spots, Keith, because this has been.
Would love to continue the conversation.
Yes, I need this so much. So yeah, I'm telling you, I'm gonna take one of them spots. But with that, Keith, now when they want to take one of those spots, just on the other end of that, do they just go to that website and then fill in?
Yeah, if they go to the website, just send me an email, send me a message through my website. Let me know you heard me on Barbara's podcast, and I will reach back out to you. Give me your contact information, and we will find a time to get together.
Okay, wonderful. Now, tell people, I don't tell people what to do, but I suggest that you be one of those 5 and sign up, because you will get so much rich information from Keith. And I believe you're going to get you're going to get a total difference after meeting with him. So yeah, I always suggest, I used to say you should, then people got on me, Keith, about, you can't tell me, Barbara. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to suggest. Okay. They're not going to stop me. I was doing it the kinder way. So with that, Keith, thank you so much. Your family now. So anytime you want to come back, discuss other things.
Awesome.
In your world.
Awesome. I would love that. I would love to continue this. Yes.
You are more than welcome. More than welcome. With that, everybody, another wonderful spotlighted expert at the Coaches Lounge. This is where you go to find, just to understand that you are an important part of this world. And sometimes you just need that little nudge, that little help from somebody that's an expert in that area. And that's a coach. So with that said, we'll see you the next time. Bye.